Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Wills, Women, and Wealth podcast, where we lead you holistically from overwhelmed to empowered through estate planning. I am Elsa W. Smith, your Maryland estate planning attorney and the host of the Wills, Women, and Wealth podcast. This is a podcast for women who value their health, their wealth, and the legacies that they are creating. Each episode is going to bring you interviews in the areas of finance, law, mental, physical health, and so much more. I'll also share educational episodes that answer your questions on wills, estate planning, and probate topics. This is a community, so I want you to engage. Tell us whether you like this episode, and also leave your comments in the comments section, or just reach out to us on the many places we have on social media at Elsa W. Smith Law. This and all future episodes will be available on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. Now, on with the show. We have a great guest in store for you today. Today's guest has a diverse and remarkable journey in her working life. She is none other than Debbie Harris. Debbie has worn many hats, from being a bartender to a corporate marketing AVP, financial planner, and even co-founding businesses in catering and digital marketing, in the digital marketing field. But what truly fulfills her is her mission to help people, especially women, break free from the cycle of constant dieting and gaining weight that she herself lived through for over 50 years. Her lifelong struggle with dieting began at the young age of 12 and continued with an off and on routine for almost 5 decades. Debbie tried numerous approaches, including fad diets like the Beverly Hills diet back in the 80s, which restricted her to only fruit for only 2 weeks. From frozen meal replacements to supplements, meetings, various diet books, she explored every option in search of a sustainable solution. She even went as far as trying HCG shots, which did lead to rapid weight loss, but unfortunately, the weight returned even faster. But as they say, every experience has something to teach us, as our guest finally gets it. She has transformed her relationship with food and is now a certified integrative nutrition health coach and certified hypnotist. With her vast knowledge and personal experiences, she's determined to share her insights with everyone who's ready to step off the dieting merry-go-round. For those struggling with health challenges, confidence, self-esteem, menopause symptoms, lack of sleep, and more, she believes that a healthy attitude and genuine enjoyment of food makes a world of difference. Her goal is to empower others to look in the mirror each day and give themselves a wink, a symbol of self-acceptance and self-love. Debbie and her husband are the founders of Maynestreet Weight Loss, based in the beautiful state of Connecticut, near Long Island Sound and the glorious Connecticut River. She shares her life with her husband, 2 big dogs, and 2 cats. When she's not busy helping others improve their relationship with food and their bodies, she indulges in her passions, including reading, walking, road trips, exploring local restaurants, and traveling to places like Jamaica. She's also a sports enthusiast and loves trekking around her hometown of New York City. More recently, she's taken up golf as a new challenge. So if you are ready to transform your relationship with food, gain control of your health, and embrace a happier and more fulfilling lifestyle, this episode is a must listen. So let's welcome Debbie with open hearts and minds as she shares her wisdom and journey with us. Everyone, welcome Debbie Harris to the podcast. Hi, Debbie.
Hi, how are you, Elsa? Thank you so much for that lovely introduction.
You're so welcome, and I can't wait for the audience to really get to know you and more about Main Street Weight Loss. And to that point, tell us about Main Street, please.
Maynestreet Weight Loss was created a few years ago after an experience that my husband and I shared in finally figuring out the mystery of the diet go round. And for men, it's a little bit easier. When they finally decide to eat healthy, the weight tends to just melt off. For women, it's a little bit trickier. And I have tried many, many things. And actually, the first diet was at age 12, but I was the fat kid in the class. I was the one being made fun of in grammar school and so on. And when I finally realized what we needed to do to really break this, went back to school, got certified as a nutrition health coach. I've been certified as a hypnotist for over 20 years and really just said, this is what I'm going to do. I mean, how you just get that feeling that I now understand, and I just want every other woman out there who's struggling, men too, to understand how they can conquer this, what really becomes a major psychological and physical issue for us.
Debbie, there are, a number of companies that are, in the weight loss industry.
Mhm.
What is your why and what makes Main Street so special?
I would have to say the why is we are so marketed to with the next hot thing, whether it's a particular food, a particular diet plan, a particular supplement, a particular exercise. My why is really to help, as I said, particularly women understand that they can live their lives in a healthy way at an ideal weight without all the insanity, which is what I call it. The next hot thing. You don't need to deprive yourself in order to live a healthy life and enjoy food. I mean, we all want to enjoy food. So the whole deprivation model just doesn't work.
And would you say that's really at the heart of Main Street Weight Loss is
Yes.
getting people to make that shift?
It's exactly, Elsa. It's the shift from deprivation to lifestyle, from, temporary to a permanent replacement of habits and really understanding how you can take the weight off and it doesn't come back. That's the key. Dieting, for the most part, taking weight off for most of our lives is fairly easy. Keeping it off is always the bigger challenge. And as we get older and mature, even taking it off becomes more of a challenge.
Don't I know it? Um, seriously, Debbie, why is it that, especially women, since this podcast is focused on women, but why do you think women especially have such a complicated relationship with food?
Well, I dare
I
say
know that's
women.
a loaded question, but
I was going to say, I dare say women have a complicated relationship with most things. But, we first of all, the whole body image thing is very much focused on us. Yes, it's starting to be focused on men too, but those of my genre, if you will, and I am 64. Uh,
Mhm.
that whole body image thing about looking good, whether it's being thin, being curvy, whatever it is, that is so deeply ingrained in us, that that carries through. And then everything we hear as a child, finish what's on your plate. There's children starving somewhere. There's something. You're not going to be able to have dessert unless you eat your vegetables. Go to your room. You didn't finish what's on your plate. All of these things, feeling popular, feeling included. And then cultural differences make a big difference too. Foods that we grow up on that are cultural are not always the healthiest. Um, and, you know, if you don't have a third helping, Aunt Sally is going to be really offended. All of this stuff, this this craziness, it all gets caught up here in our subconscious, and all gets caught up in our relationship, basically with what's on our plate. So,
Would you say, I mean, based on your experiences with your clients, would you say that trauma also affects, you know, different types of trauma? Again, based on your what you've seen with your clients.
I will tell you, Elsa, that I think based on my clients, based on me, I had surgery as an infant, and I think that my parents were very young, and I don't think they knew how to handle it. So um, I think what happened was food became a way of, well, fatten her up, you know, afterwards. You know, it's a sign of health, if you will.
Mhm.
Um, and I know from the women that I talked to, whether there were family issues, family conflicts, whether it was divorce issues, whether it's, I mean, if you think about it, is there anything else in our lives that we are so intimately attached to from day one or even prior than food? Nourishment, comfort. We use these words all the time. So it really, if you think of it as the toughest addiction to break,
Mm,
because it is so early on and it is so ingrained. Listen, we can't live without food.
right.
So when you think of it that way, it's a very, very complex, and yes, any kind of trauma, because the other thing with trauma is trauma, comfort, trauma, wanting to feel good about ourselves. And where do we often go for that? To food. And there are physiological reasons that we reach for certain things, not just what's going on up here. So it all gets intertwined.
I mean, even the term, right? Comfort food,
Comfort food. Yes.
right? And yeah, yeah. I mean, I just thought about it. I was like, yeah, why do we
I mean,
call it comfort food?
if you, how many times have we seen a character on television or in the movies come off a breakup and sit there with a pint or gallon of ice cream?
Oh, absolutely.
What
Absolutely.
is that?
Sneaking into the fridge late at night, and all you
Yeah,
see is, like, the refrigerator, like, them in the kitchen with the giant gallon or whatever of ice cream and a spoon and going for it.
exactly.
And then
Exactly.
there's a fade out.
Yeah, and it's usually a Haagen-Dazs commercial.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I know, really. We love
exactly.
Haagen-Dazs.
Exactly.
But, yeah, you know, during show prep, you, brought up such an excellent quote, and I'd like you to expound on it. It's, the quote by Janine Roth, "The way you eat is the way you do everything."
Yeah.
Um, talk to me about that quote, because that was, like, really powerful.
That comes from Janine Roth and a book she wrote, I believe in 1996, about hormones and dieting. And
Mm,
it's a very powerful book, and I've read through it, and think about it. That's what she said in the book. The way you eat is the way you do everything. So do we pay attention to what's on our plate? Do we eat quickly? Do we
mm,
take time to savor it? Do we actually have a relationship with what's on our plate, or is it just let me grab what's ever in the fridge, or let me stop at whatever, you know,
right.
place I can drive through and grab something? So again, I think her quote really does relate to, again, the fact that food is so tied into everything from the very beginning. We cannot separate it from our early habits, from our early thought process, from what we heard as an infant and as a young child. You know, infants and young children, they will tend to reach for the food that they feel intuitively is better for them. And this is where parents, if you think about it, I don't understand. The child just will not eat broccoli. Well, maybe the child doesn't need to eat broccoli. Maybe there's something else. Or this child only wants to eat hot dogs. And
Mm.
what happens is we do as parents tend to start freaking out about all these things. And we don't mean to put all this stuff on our kids. But we haven't worked out our own BS. So this is what happens when really a child up until about age 4, and Janine talks about this, is really intuitively reacting to what their body needs before all the marketing and the parenting and TV and everything else starts to come into play. And then, of course, we have the rebellion side.
Right.
So I grew up in a house where my parents were, you know, I'm saying from a client's perspective, my parents never had any junk in the house. They never had any sugar in the house. They were very, very strict about all this. And so when I became a teenager, clients will say, I ate whatever, I ate everything. And my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, was a diabetic most of her life. So she cooked very bland. There was never really cakes and cookies in the house. She died before my grandfather. And for the 3 years that he lived after her, he ate Chinese food twice a week and whatever he wanted, because again, he couldn't do it when she was cooking. So we grow up in all of these environments, and then we have our own situations with food. It's incredibly complicated, but also incredibly simple.
For those of us who are just joining the podcast, just as a reminder, we're having a conversation with co-founder of Maynestreet Weight Loss, Debbie Harris. I'm learning so much from Debbie, and I hope you are too. Let's continue the conversation. Debbie, talk to us about the intersection of food and self-worth. We've kind of touched on it a bit through your earlier comments, but expound on that, please.
I can't even tell you, Elsa, how many times a month I'm on the phone with a woman, usually 40 plus in age, who is absolutely just at her wit's end with herself. I mean, will actually say things like, I hate myself. I'm so frustrated. What's wrong with me? Why can't I do this? And in many cases, women are looking at, I have a family, I have friends, I have activities, I have a very successful career, whatever that might be. I cannot get control of my weight. I am a failure. And it carries over into everything. And then, of course, those feelings, excuse me, we go back to the comfort food that then we want to soothe us. And a lot of that is also habit, whatever we've done before that might have soothed us. So the self-worth cannot be separated, the whole body image. But it's more than that. It's the word control. I feel like I'm totally out of control. If I cannot get control over what I eat in the course of a day, I'm out of control. My whole life is out of control. The flip side of that, and I had this conversation with a client yesterday, the flip side of that is when I have control over what I eat, at the end of the day, I feel like I had control over everything. So it's deeply connected to that feeling of I'm a failure or I'm a success. And here's the craziness. It's all based on what I ate. So I could do 1,000 things in the course of that day. But if I had that chocolate chip cookie, I'm a failure. Yeah.
No. You know, Debbie, as women, we we wear so many hats. We are, business owners like you and I. We are caregivers. We are parents. We are spouses, partners, what have you. And we have all these demands, that we're carrying on our shoulders. And that makes us, susceptible to feeling dramatic events even
Correct.
more so, right? And
Mhm.
divorce is one of them.
That
Um, and a number of women in, at least in the United States, have experienced divorce at least once. Um, what you also mentioned during show prep that sometimes the weight is lifted, like when when you've gone through divorce and the body responds. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, that's the interesting thing when you stop obsessing about weight and food
Mhm.
and you tune into just what your body needs. So, let's take the divorce example. You're involved in this particular situation, which can be often is very traumatic, very emotional, very taxing. So you're not so much focused on the whole diet thing and the weight thing and what I'm eating thing. And very often, and the other thing is because you perhaps been living in a stressful situation for a long time, once that once you step out, once you start the process or end the process or know you're going through the process, there's often a feeling of relief. And coincided with that feeling of relief is many women suddenly find they've lost weight. I know several women of this who experience this, including myself. The weight somehow, and you look back and you go, well, what? Oh, I just dropped 10 pounds. That's great. But what did I do?
Mm,
There wasn't a diet. I didn't follow a diet. I just wasn't obsessing about food. So if I'm not obsessing
mm,
about food, I'm going to tend to gravitate to the things that I instinctively know that my body needs. And by the way, that's different for everybody. So that's the key. But all of a sudden, you feel better, the weight starts coming off, and you maybe, oh, I think I'll exercise more. I think I'll change my hair color. I think I'll do whatever. The whole feeling of success leads on to everything else. And it's often because you've taken a step in a direction to remove stress in one situation. Even though the divorce is stressful, in many cases, the situation you were in prior to it was more stressful.
wow. Now I want to talk about the elephant in the room, hormones. Ah, how do hormones prevent us from reaching our weight loss goals? Please help us.
You know, and I do want to say that this affects men and women. This is not
Mm,
purely a female thing. And a lot of it has to do with, again, the way we are taught is the proper way to eat, the whole food pyramid, the whole loading up of carbs. Obviously, our commercials. I'm just thinking right now, we mentioned Haagen-Dazs and ice cream, but think of the Snickers commercial.
mhm.
The person is completely out of sorts and grumpy. And the minute they start eating the Snickers, they're back to you again, back to
Mm,
yourself.
interesting.
So what happens with the sugars, and we are addicted to them, whether it's our margaritas or it's our chips or it's our cookies or our cake, whatever it might be, we're raising our insulin levels with this, and then it's dropping, and then it's raising, and then it's dropping. And what happens when insulin gets out of whack is we do store fat, and oftentimes around the middle.
Mm,
And so as we get older, this also becomes more prevalent. But the other hormone involved is cortisol. And this is why women will say to me, I don't understand it. I'm on the treadmill every day. I'm
mm,
on the treadmill every day. I walk, I do this, I do that. And I say, you are over exercising.
mm,
And we don't understand that cortisol is raised by certain exercise. And again, that is helping us store fat. So the whole idea of either not the right exercise for the person or just doing too much, I actually have our clients stop a lot of what they're doing during the stage 1 of the program. Go take a walk, do some Pilates, do some yoga, but stop running on the treadmill, get off the bike, just let your body balance out with proper food, and give it the ease of exercise that isn't going to do that, because that's not helping you. And so for everybody out there who's going to the gym 7 days a week, and you're trying to reduce weight, rethink some of what you're doing with exercise. Talk to a trainer about that.
You just mentioned, tips that you give your
Mhm.
clients at Maynestreet Weight Loss. Describe the process for those of us who are unfamiliar with the intake process and what the journey is for a Maynestreet Weight Loss client.
Sure. It's actually pretty straightforward. What we're going to do in stage 1, which is about 35 days, is we are actually going to have you eat protein, fruit, and vegetables. We're going to give you a homeopathic drop that will help with the hypothalamus and helps with balancing those hormones. And we're going to give you 5 vitamins, all vegetarian, which are also going to help with certain aspects. One is a multiple, one is something called Raylora, which is really good to it has a very slight calming effect. It's actually made from the magnolia plant. So we give you those. And as I said, we have you having fruit, vegetables, and protein. And then as the 35 days progress, we do add in certain things on different days. That's stage 1. Stage 2, we continue to add foods back. Whether you've reached your goal or not, you will continue to release weight in stage 2. We have clients who have 10 pounds they wish to lose. We have clients who have 150 pounds they wish to lose. It doesn't matter. And the second phase is 6 months. You will have a mentor who talks to you each week on the phone, and you will continue to add foods. Why? Because you want to learn what works for you. What is going to help you keep inflammation at bay, keep migraines at bay, keep your body balanced, keep you releasing weight, keep you feeling good. In the first stage, you're going to be in contact, usually with me every morning by text. So what makes our program different also, and what we hear over and over and over again from our clients, is the accountability and the support. We have a WhatsApp group. We have community meetings once a month on Zoom. You are never going at this alone. And I am committed to every single one of our clients to be successful.
I love that. I mean, it sounds pretty comprehensive. Now, you're up in the Connecticut, New York area, and I'm in Maryland and DC. Can you help women from my area through Maynestreet Weight Loss?
Yes, Elsa, we have clients all over the country. Everything is done either text, phone, or Zoom. We send you out everything you need for stage 1. There's some other little things I didn't mention. There'll be a surprise. Excuse me. And yes, of course, we have clients in several states. And again, the one requirement would be that you have a cell phone. You're okay with texting. And that's really the only requirement. Be great if you also can get on the Zoom once a month, but we don't let anybody fall through the cracks.
I love that. I mean, so, and just recapping what we have talked about today, this talking about weight loss, it's complicated. It's not,
Yeah.
from what I gather, it's not something that can or even should be dealt with one of these quick fix fad, diets, because it's so much deeper than that from
Yeah.
what you and I have talked about,
Yeah.
you know?
They just don't, the issue is they're not sustainable. You mentioned, I did the Beverly Hills diet. I mean, seriously, are you going to go out with your friends or your partner and order half a watermelon for dinner in a restaurant? Of course not. And that is the issue. Oh, excuse me. The issue is sustainability. So, I'd love to give a few tips for people who might want to just dive right in on their own.
Please, please do.
So, what I want you to do is something called crowding out or crowding in, however you want to look at it.
Mm.
What we're going to do is we're going to increase the amount of vegetables we have every day. And please don't tell me you hate this and you hate that. I hear it all the time. Try them. Add vegetables to your plate, mainly add color. So if you think of looking at your plate and making it colorful, red peppers, yellow peppers, eggplant, tomatoes, of course, all your green vegetables, your cauliflower, now you even have purple cauliflower. Make as many colors as you can. Eat as many of your non-starchy vegetables. What are starchy vegetables? You know what they are. Peas, potato, corn, you get it. Fill up on all the non-starchy vegetables and then have some protein. And if you want, you'll still have a little bit of room for maybe a little bit of rice or potato. But the idea is the more colors and the more vegetables you can put on your plate, the less likely you're going to want the other stuff. And then the other thing is try for 21 days to just take sugar out of your diet. If you use
That's a tricky one.
I know. 21 days. 21 days. If you use a sweetener, try liquid stevia. Be careful with the stevia in the packets. Try liquid stevia. We've all heard now about aspartame. I mean, stay away from all of that crap. If you don't need a sweetener, great. Liquid stevia is your best choice. Just a couple drops. But take it out. The other thing I want you to take out, now everybody get ready. I said sugar, but there's one more. I want you to take dairy out for 21 days. So if you're putting milk or cream in your coffee, take it out, use a little stevia. 21 days. That's all I'm asking. If you can take sugar and dairy out for 21 days and crowd your plate with more vegetables, you are going to see a major difference in the way you feel, in the way you look, and in your weight.
And could you also remind everyone of the importance of water?
Oh, yes. Water is a biggie on our program. Thank you. You want to drink half your body weight in ounces per day, up to about 100 ounces. And this is, thank you, Elsa, because this is really essential. Drink water. And I'm not talking about seltzer water or club soda. Get most of it from plain water. You can add maybe 16 ounces of like a Perrier or a seltzer, but you want to fill your, see this?
Oh.
Or get a big container that you can keep refilling, but drink water. For some people, this is really a challenge. So a couple tips. Set something on your phone to remind you every half hour or every hour to drink it. 1 glass. Get up in the morning and start with 2 or 3 glasses of water. Try a glass of water with some a glass of warm water with some fresh squeezed lemon. Put the water in the microwave for 60 seconds, squeeze the lemon in, have that first thing. Do whatever you need to do to get that water in. Try to get it in by 5 o'clock, or chances are, especially at the beginning, you're going to be up during the night. I mean, don't try and get 2 liters of water in at 8 o'clock at night. You'll be swimming all night. Yeah, it doesn't work well. And then people work different shifts. People work different things. It's really important. I have water in the car. I carry coolers. I have water everywhere because otherwise I won't get it in. So yes, we're going to colors. We're going to crowd out some of that other stuff. We're not going to have sugar or dairy, and we're going to drink tons of water. 21 days. I challenge you to see what happens. And be sure and let me know.
Wow. Wow. And to that point, I want to do two things. First, give everyone watching and listening a tool to contact you. If they want to contact Maynestreet Weight Loss, there's the number on the screen, 860-322-4725, right? And one other thing, I'll leave that on there for a second. We were talking in this podcast about hormones.
Yeah.
And your site, and I visited your site, you have a neat hormone assessment, and it's free
Yes.
on the site. So let me put your website information on there too. Oh, here we go.
Yes. And just so everybody knows, I don't see the results of that. That's really for you, and will give you a real sense of whether hormones are impacting your ability to take the weight off that you want. And remember, everybody, it's all individual. Your body's going to know when it's at its ideal weight if you give it the foods that it needs. And everyone is different. So all of these things that are mass marketed, they may not be right for you.
Absolutely. Wow. Everyone, we've had an amazing conversation today with the co-founder of Maynestreet Weight Loss, Debbie Harris. Debbie, it has really been, on a personal and professional level, just a joy to have you and just to have this conversation. We could have talked for hours on this, and for so many reasons. But I believe that this conversation is going to help a lot of women, at least men and women, right? Yes. Men and women, but it's really going to help a lot of people and at least point them in the right direction. Every plan is not for everybody, but right. You get the tips and the advice and the underlying causes of why right. we can be so challenged with food is so insightful. And I think that your program, Maynestreet Weight Loss, is going to be a good fit for a whole lot of people watching. So again, let me put that number on there one last time, 860-322-4725. Debbie, do you have any final comments about the episode or anything you'd like to leave the viewers with?
Well, first of all, thank you so much. This has been great. And I just want to say to everybody, try and just ratchet down the stress. Honestly, food isn't good or bad. Food is just food. And your self-worth is not tied to whether or not you had a bite of that bagel or that brownie. So we can conquer all that. But I just want everybody to know that you can have that bagel or that brownie once you learn exactly what your body needs and how it needs it. You can live, you can eat, you can enjoy yourself. Oh, and one other thing, those 21 days, it'd be best if you weren't drinking alcohol.
Great. No wine and dinner.
Yeah, that's the kicker, right? Oh, no, not forget it.
That glass of wine with dinner out the window for
21 just 21 days, guys. But thank you, Elsa. This has been a joy. And anything I can do to help anybody, reach out and we'll have a conversation.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Everyone, Debbie Harris. Debbie, have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.
Thanks. You too.
Everyone, Debbie was a phenomenal guest, and I hope that this conversation that we've had got you thinking about not just about losing weight, but about the importance of changing our lifestyles, developing a healthier lifestyle. I know it's inspired me to, quite frankly, because we all do. We're all, we're busy. We've got a number of demands. So this episode and what services Maynestreet Weight Loss has to offer really hopefully inspired you to just reconsider some things that you're doing and hopefully lead you to towards a healthier lifestyle. As a reminder, your health is your wealth. And that's one of the things that we do at the law offices of Elsa W. Smith. We help protect your wealth. Estate planning is about protecting you as well as everything that you own, right? So if you'd like to have a conversation about your estate planning and you're in the state of Maryland or the District of Columbia, I invite you to give us a call. You can book a free 15-minute call with a member of our team. There's absolutely no obligation, and we are here to help. I'm Elsa W. Smith, the host of the Wills, Women, and Wealth podcast. Thanking you so much for joining us on this episode, and I'll see you soon. Make it a great day, everybody.